According to the most recent scientific research, it has been found that Earth's water formed over millions of years from the outer space.
From the outer space, eh? Well, that showed me. I thought there was more than one. You know, there's Outer Space 1, Outer Space 2, The Revenge, Outer Space, Return of the Space Outers, and that's not to mention all the spin-offs. Anyway, what are we doing here today apart from being a pedantic butthole about your sloppy presentation? Oh, right. 5 science guys that prove Islam/the Quran. Sounds good. I'm sure that's totally going to happen.
Through billions of meteors that fell on the Earth. It's amazing that the Holy Quran has revealed the source of the water, the sky.
Okay, so there's a few things there. One is a pretty basic point about misrepresenting what the science actually says by just focusing on the one idea you think supports your claim. And the other is some of the stupidest shit I've ever heard. So on the meteor thing, yes, one of the ideas where some of Earth's water may have come from is extraterrestrial bodies. But the thing is, there are other explanations, like at the very least the chemical components for water were already within the rest of the Earth's makeup, essentially meaning it was already here. And another is the idea of essentially cosmic vapor, which is similar to the meteor thing, but with the distinction that the water would be on its own, more or less. But even if there weren't other explanations, and the meteor thing was the absolute factual facts about facts, to claim water came from the sky is the same as bloody great big rocks crashed into the earth bringing moisture with them somehow is a staggeringly broad interpretation to the point of bleeding nonsense, and ignores the incredibly obvious part that they were talking about the goddamn rain. Duh!
Allah the Almighty says in the Quran,
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
Oh, how very interesting. Did he sing the whole thing, or was that more of a human interpretation thing? And not gonna lie, but this may come as a big shock to all of you, but I don't speak song, so I'm gonna have to skip ahead where you mercifully say what he actually said in English. I do, however, find it odd that in a video that is all about science apparently, and that is largely in English, that you felt the need to do what is effectively an emotional, heart-tugging form of preaching, rather than allow the big brain science to stand on its very own. I do wonder why.
and we send down water from the sky according to due measure, and we cause it to soak in the soil, and we certainly are able to drain it off with ease.
Did you just add an echo to that bit? I don't know about you, but that kind of smacks of doing an impression of God. Hilarious, if true. Although from my understanding, the guy hasn't got much of a sense of humour, at least when it comes to stuff about him. Doing horrific things to people he doesn't like, though. Apparently those are real knee slappers for him.
This verse confirms that the source of Earth's water is the sky, a fact that has been scientifically proven. Such a scientific fact was unknown at the time of Quranic revelations.
Again, aside from the fact that this is one of a few possible explanations, possibly even all partially true in fact, do you think that the people of that time period had never seen water falling from the sky? At no point did a thing happen that they saw that could be described as, again, water coming from the sky. I mean, seriously, I know that apologists like to ignore the patently friggin' obvious to make their absolutely terrible points, but to ignore the universality of pissing rain seems like a bit much.
It's worth contemplating, therefore, the question of who might have informed Prophet Muhammad ﷺ of this fact.
Well, assuming he was ironically sheltered, as he would have to be in order to have never been exposed to rain in his entire life, I would have to guess literally any human being he had even the briefest possible contact with in the history of ever. But let's say that somehow he wasn't talking about bleeding weather, and that very obviously not talking about meteors thing was talking about meteors. Well, the existence of meteors and the fact that another kind of liquid falls from the sky sometimes, it's not the biggest leap to think maybe big water balls happened in the first instance of Earth. Also, fun fact, meteors often do contain water, generally in the form of crystalline structures and clay-like substances, but again, and I cannot stress this enough, if that's what the Quran is trying to tell us, you would think they might have actually mentioned it at all.
Lightning is a mercy from Allah.
Tell that to my lightning rod-esque cod piece. Oh, ho, 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 ho. That is brisk.
Astronomers say that storms that hit the Earth are very essential for the safety of the atmosphere.
Do they say that? For the life of me, I can't find anyone putting it quite like that. But I think that's mostly because the fact is, if there is such a thing as atmospheric buildup of lightning, that it's just kind of one of those things that gets to the point where the lightning just comes out and is most certainly not done because God makes it happen. And what exactly is the mechanism for this apparent dangerous build-up? I'll bet my bollocks to a barn dance that no such thing is even hinted at by your guy from the olden times.
They add that if it weren't for the lightning, the Earth's atmosphere would be charged with electricity, there would be no life or even rain.
So you have heard of rain. Funny that you didn't bring it up earlier where it would have been, oh, I don't know, 10,000% more sensical to do so. It's funny that it's always this way. An obvious fact just isn't brought up until it's useful. Do you think these guys know how full of it they are? Or do they do this shit without even realizing how obviously sneaky and deceptive that it appears to be? Because, you know, it is.
Astronomers also affirm that the Earth is exposed to more than 100 flashes per second. There is an average of 8 million lightning flashes every day.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool actually, and I'm going to assume it's true for the sake of this next point. Does it say that number in the Quran anywhere in relation to this specific factoid? I mean, I assume that's where you got it from and not, say, some scientific institution that did so by, you know, measuring and estimating the total based on those measurements. And I do have to wonder, of course, are there any studies to this fact that cite your book in their papers because of its historical scientiness? There must be, right? And, you know, it would be pretty damn impressive if this ancient text were to casually throw out such a specific, and frankly, from the perspective of a native of the region, utterly impossible to learn number at the time. You know, it would really be a shame if they never do that, ever, demonstrating that there is no divine revelation going on at all.
It's due to Allah's mercy that such flashes take place in uninhabited areas. All glory to Allah.
I'm going to have to guess at exactly what you're trying to say here, which I assume is most lightning happens in uninhabited regions, which, okay, I mean, at least 70% of the Earth is uninhabited, you know, because of the oceans. So you would expect that regardless, combined with the fact that lightning absolutely happens all the time in places where people live. Otherwise, lightning rods and other technology like them would never have needed to have been invented. But let's just say, okay, certain land regions happen to have more lightning and humans tend not to live there. Could you blame them? Hey, do you want to live in the place where the skies are clear and nice? Or do you want to live in the place where you might randomly die from skytricity? Tough choice.
Who says, in the Quran, it is He who doth show you the lightning by way both of fear and of hope. The life of the sun.
Wait, that was actually it for the lightning part. But some trite poem about lightning, a thing they would know about, by the way. It doesn't say, I'm keeping it away from you, or, hey, I have to make sure it doesn't randomly kill you all for no reason. But instead, lightning is a thing I do, totally honest, guys. I mean, your last one was stupid for forgetting that rain exists, but this one isn't even trying. God damn.
Astrophysicists confirm that the sun now is in its middle age and at its top glow, but it would fade billion years later.
Oh, I cannot wait to find out how this is super sciencey in your book, though. Let me guess. The sun exists, and it am burny hot, therefore me do that. Seriously, what you would need to make an actual sciencey point is to say something like the sun is made of hydrogen, or has a surface temperature of 5,800 Kelvin, or even that the sun's a element furnace. You know, something that we know about it now because of science. Please, try not to sound incredibly stupid and lazy. Cheers.
Miraculously, the Holy Quran describes the sun as a light of splendor. There is in the middle of its age.
Well, I'm not going to hold my breath that it actually says that the sun is the quote-unquote middle of its age, assuming scientists even do say that. I know what you're like with your misrepresentations or whatever, but even if it somehow did say that, it's got to be one of the three things, and one of them is incredibly broad. It could be young, it could be in the middle of its life, or it could be old. And of course, they went with the one that could basically be a solid 80% of its lifespan. And honestly, who was ever going to check? No one that mattered, not at the time. So frankly, it was a safe bet to say anything anyway.
Allah says in the Quran, and placed therein a light of splendor.
Well, what a surprise, nothing even remotely demonstrating a claim of middle age. Unless suddenly the word splendor means middle-aged instead of the obvious idea that it's something grand and majestic. Because, well, then honestly, I'm starting to feel pretty splendid myself. I mean, this video has aged me at least 10 years listening to all the bullshit.
The word splendor indicates that the sun is a glowing star, while there are faint and dead stars in the universe. The sun, conversely, is a glowing one.
Here's a little hint if you are trying to write something with a particular message or explanation. Use words that indicate that message or explanation. Funnily enough, the sun is splendid and the sun is a star of a particular brightness when compared to other stars are not the exact same sentences. I would argue they are in fact completely different sentences conveying completely different ideas entirely.
This is a scientific miracle, for no one knew such a fact at the time of Quranic revelations.
Even if I am super nice and don't just call this post hoc rationalization, you know, the thing it so obviously is, and that's totally what splendid was supposed to mean. You know they could see the stars, right? Like, if you want to play the this is about the star being bright versus other stars bit, well, for one, no shit, it's right next to us. But even if that wasn't the case somehow, stars very much vary in brightness from our perspective, regardless of what that says about their actual age. The idea that some stars are newer would absolutely be a concept that they could easily come up with on their own without modern science. I mean, they had campfires, right? They would have gone out and glowed dimly till they completely went out. I'm pretty sure they could have figured this out simply by looking up at the sky, possibly between the times where they were actively avoiding noticing the rain, apparently. Honestly, you are trying to make it sound like they were so goddamn stupid compared to you. And I gotta tell you, mate, I bet they weren't. Quite the opposite, in fact. And no, I'm not saying that they were particularly smart. Hint, hint.
Brain imprinting.
I don't know, man. Are you sure it's a good idea to talk about brains when it appears that you don't even have one?
Scientists have recently discovered that the brain also has an imprinting. Every brain continually transmits electromagnetic frequencies that commensurate with the brain's activity and the type of processes it carries out.
I could be wrong, but that just sounded like nonsense to me. Are you saying that brains transmit information? And I don't mean in the from the face and the body language and art kind of ways that they do, but like a goddamn radio. And I'm not discounting that maybe there's some new discovery that found out that they can do something like that, but more that you would know about such a thing and understand it well enough to explain it at all. Well, that just seems really unlikely. Although, what am I worried about? You know, the book though segment is going to have literally nothing to do with any of this.
When someone remembers the details of a certain situation, the brain transmits frequencies that are different from those of another situation.
Holy shit, when did I tune into spirit science? And let's take out the BS word salad lexicon and just say two people's brains work a little differently from each other. Well, no shit. They aren't the same person. If they were, they would be doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, possibly inhabiting the exact same space. And at that point, how could you even tell?
Besides, every brain transmits frequencies that are different from those of another brain. This could be detected by a distinctive device.
I mean, yeah, MRI machines are certainly distinctive, I guess. But you're making it sound like you could wave a wand over someone's head and know what they're thinking when, no, we have not reached that kind of technology quite yet. And thank Atheismo for that. I mean, I don't want you lot knowing what I'm thinking about or its current location. I know you all want to steal my whiskey.
Such signs invite us to contemplate ourselves. Allah the Exalted says.
Well, that's just a non sequitur. Even if whatever version of brain frequencies you are trying so vaguely to describe are a thing, that doesn't mean every person, or even most people, consider the ramifications of their own thoughts. And hell, obviously even those who do can do so incredibly unsuccessfully. And no, that totally wasn't about you. Cough, cough.
As also in your own cells, will you not then see?
Yep, more meaningless poetry garbage that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that either people are different from each other or that brainwaves are somewhat detectable. Man, the mental gymnastics you have done today to make this shit even remotely fit is wild. You must have one damn flexible brain. And no, that is not a compliment. Soup is, after all, extremely flexible. Goddamn.
Positive outlooks. A recent research has revealed that a positive outlook on life is useful for the health and boost the immune system.
Oh hey, this one is actually unambiguously true, at least the existence of it. It is hardly a new idea. But yes, feeling good makes you feel good. What a shonk. Unfortunately, it's of absolutely no help to me, because my entire time is spent on this planet full of dipwits like this guy, constantly making stupid arguments about things they clearly have no comprehension of. No wonder I drink.
Consequently, religion has a significant impact on both the physical and psychological health of believers.
Well, that was an absolute own goal. This is an effect that every religion can have, at least on certain individuals. So by your standard, that means that they're all true. And shit, if an atheist has a positive outlook and that makes their quality of life better, that makes them right as well. Absolute genius tier observation, mate.
Because the more faith and confidence a believer has in Allah, the healthier and the better immune he has.
What a really shitty thing to say about believers who get sick, or babies who are born with some horrific illness. They just didn't have enough faith. They deserve to die a terrible death. That is the ultimate consequence of this kind of thinking. And again, any worldview with similarly healthy people in it, which is, you know, all of them, proves them right. Brilliant.
Say, O my servants, who have transgressed against their souls, despair not of the mercy of God, for God forgives all sins, for he is oft forgiving, most merciful.
And of course it has absolutely nothing to do with the claim at hand. It really is like you just came up with a handful of generic sciencey ideas and then threw some darts at your book and decided, right, time to make a really stupid video.
If we contemplate such words as despair not, grieve not, or don't be desperate, we'll realize that they are all direct commands from Allah to his servants to change their look at life so that it would be positive.
And oh cool, it gets worse. No, despair there does not mean, hey, don't feel negative feelings ever. It is saying, if you did a bad thing to me, don't freak out if you mess up, I'll forgive you anyway. The don't despair part is specifically about the concerns one might have about the wrath of God or whatever. It is very specifically not a generic call to don't worry, be happy, you absolute simpleton. Anyway, it ends there, and all I can say is, wow, that really did prove the Quran has absolutely nothing to do with or say about science.